Hello everyone out there in the bookverse, it's Stephanie and I'm back with my next video about books. Today I'm going to be going over my TBR for my year one newts, and I am super excited about this because I have just finished all the books that I need to for my owls, which means I am cleared to take my newts. Woohoo me! So I'm just going to do these by class because for each class that I have passed in my owls, I need to read 3 books in my newts in order to get an outstanding. So if you read 1 book, you get an A for acceptable, 2 books, you get an E for exceeds expectations, and 3 books, you get an O for outstanding, which is what I'm going for. Now, the way it works is you have to read your A book to get your acceptable. You have to read your A and your E book to get your exceeds expectations. And you have to read your A, E, and O book to get your outstanding. So you can't read the O prompt and the A prompt and get an E. That's not the way it works. Like, you have to read the prompts the way they're set up. Now, if you want to be risky about it and read your O book first, knowing that you're gonna go back and read your A and E, that's okay. But if you only read your O book, you actually don't even get an acceptable in that class. You fail. So you gotta be really sure that you're gonna be able to go back and get your other ones, which I feel like I'm going to be in some of these, but let's not get too cocky, right? For the first one, I'm going to talk about the books I'm going to need for my Care of Magical Creatures, and we are going to start off with my book that would get me an acceptable, and that book needs to have an animal on the cover, so I chose Anansi Boys by Neil Gaiman. If you've watched my videos, you know that I am a huge Neil Gaiman fan. He's already been in, I think, 2 of my videos, maybe 3, I don't know when exactly I'm going to be posting this one, but this one has a spider on the front. Is a spider an animal? I'm not quite sure if a spider is gonna count as an animal, but since I want to read this book and this is the prompt that it fits into the best, I'm putting it in there and we're going with it, and I'm saying it counts. So now, I don't really know what this is about, but I'm really excited to get into it and read it. And it's one of those awesome floppy paperbacks, which I absolutely love. This is my favorite type of paperback to read. It just feels good, like holding it, flopping it. I could do this all day, but I won't because you guys would get bored. So this is mine for A of Care of Magical Creatures. The book that I've chose to do for my E, Care of Magical Creatures, is The Tales of Beetle the Bard. Now, this one needed to be a book that was less than 160 pages, and I believe that The Tales of Beetle the Bard is about 107-ish, 107. At least this version is. This version has the little inserts from Albus Dumbledore. I don't know if all of them do or not, but I know that this one does. I know it's a little ridiculous that I am such a huge Harry Potter fan, and I have yet to read Tales of Beetle the Bard in English, which I think is almost a crime. I shouldn't even be able to call myself a huge Harry Potter fan. It's ridiculous. But I'm excited to jump into this. This is a book of children's stories for witches and wizards. So kind of similar to our Grimm's fairy tales, you have the Tales of Beetle the Bard. These are the types of stories that young witches and wizards would have been told before bedtime, just like we were told, you know, Cinderella and Snow White and all those. I know that it has the Tale of 3 Brothers in it, and Babbity Rabbity, of course, because Ron talks about them. So this is actually one that I am one of the most excited to read because it's just going to be cute, and I'm really excited to do it. Plus, it's kind of short, so I'll feel good about myself when I read it because I'll get through it quickly, which, if you know me, you know I am not a quick reader. My O for Care of Magical Creatures is a book that includes dragons, and I have chosen Shadowscale, which is the 2nd book in the Seraphina duology. I think they actually say that this is a companion novel to Seraphina, which I highly disagree with. Seraphina needed a 2nd book in the series, so I am saying that this is a sequel. That's just me, that's just my opinion. I will let you know once I've read it, but I am pretty sure that this one's going to be a sequel to Seraphina. I have already read Seraphina, and I don't really want to talk too much about Shadowscale because I don't want to give anything away in Seraphina. It's a great book, and I highly, highly recommend that you read it if you love fantasy. It's about a girl who is half human, half dragon, and she's trying to navigate that when there's so many prejudices against half human, half dragons, and she's trying to figure out herself and who she is in that world, and also to figure out kind of the political situation that's going on at the time. So I highly recommend Seraphina, and I will let you know what I think about Shadowscale, but I am really excited. This might be the first book I read. I know I'm being risky and reading my O before my A or E, but I really, really want to know how this story keeps going. The next class that I'm going to talk about is Transfiguration. And for my A, Transfiguration, I need a book with a gray cover. Now, I didn't have any books that had a completely gray cover, so I found one that had pretty gray, like it's mostly gray and white and black. That's the best I could really find for this one, and that is Nevernight by Jay Kristoff. I actually had never read this trilogy. I wanted to jump into it a little while back, but I knew that the third book was coming out in this series, and so I figured I would just wait until the third book came out so I could read them all in a row, depending on how it goes for the order I read things for this readathon. But Nevernight is the story of a girl who is training to become an assassin. It is an adult fantasy, and I believe it does have some pretty strong adult content in it, so just a warning on that. If you're a young reader, this might not be appropriate. I've heard great things about it, and I haven't read as much adult fantasy as I would like to. I think I want to branch out a little bit more into that genre, so this is going to be one of my most anticipated reads. I'm hoping that the hype doesn't give me too high of expectations for it because I don't want to be let down, but this is about as gray as I could get. I know it's so borderline not even gray, but it is the best I could do, so here is my A for Transfiguration. For my E for Transfiguration, I needed to read a book by an author that I had never read before. And this is probably going to shock a lot of you because this is a very popular author that I would say most of the people I follow on BookTube have read at least one of this author's books. But for me, it is going to be The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. I know I am starting with The Cruel Prince, of course. We are not going out of order with these. I cannot do that. But I know that The Queen of Nothing, the third book in this trilogy, is coming out soon, and I actually ordered why can't I say the right word? There's a word I want to say and it's not coming out. I keep saying the wrong one. And I actually pre-ordered a special edition of The Queen of Nothing, so I'm really hoping that these books live up to the hype. Hype scares me sometimes going into books because I get my hopes up, and then even if the book is really good, I can't enjoy it as much as I usually would because my expectations are so high. So I'm going to really, really try not to do that with a lot of the hyped books that I have on this list, but The Cruel Prince has been kind of, either people absolutely loved it or they were meh about it, so I don't know really what to expect going into this one. I know it's about a girl and her sister who are humans. They get taken to the fairy court, and I know she has a half-sister there who is half fairy and half human, and obviously there's royalty in it because it's about the Cruel Prince. I don't want to know too much more than that because I want to go into it not knowing a lot. I enjoy going into books not knowing really what they're about because then they're so much more fun for me to read, and I feel like that they're more exciting and I don't know what's coming and I just get way more invested into the book. The book that I'm reading for my O for Transfiguration is a book that is about a kingdom or royals, and for that I'm going to do The Wicked King by Holly Black, which is the second book in the Cruel Prince trilogy. This is the second book in that series. I have no idea what it's about. The Wicked King, and so this is going to be fulfilling my outstanding for Transfiguration. The next class that I'm moving on to is going to be my potions class, and for acceptable I need to read a book that has the name of a color in the title, and I know I'm kind of stretching it here, which, you know, I've done with a lot of the prompts on this one, to be honest. I stretch them and make them to fit books that I own or books that I want to read, so you're just going to get used to that with me because I do that. But the book I've chosen to read is The Siren. And if you Google it, siren actually is a color. It is a red color, right? Red. Could you Google that real quick so I don't sound like an idiot? I have decided that Siren is a color in my book for now. And this book is by Kiera Cass. She is the author of the Selection series, which I kind of breezed through very quickly. I liked them. I thought they were great, easy reads. She had some good romance going on, especially in the first 3 books, and I'm hoping it's just something I can sit down and enjoy. I know that this book is about a siren who falls in love with a human and all the problems that go along with that, and they're trying to be together. I haven't read a lot of books about sirens, but I love them, so I'm excited to try this one out. For my Potions Exceeds Expectations, I need to read a book with a male lead character, and for that I have chosen Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. Now, I honestly know nothing about this book. I know that it's a psychological thriller, and I know that it has a male lead character, and that's pretty much it, honestly, because the booktuber who recommended this book, which is actually G from Book Gross, who started the whole Owls and Newts, she said you don't want to know anything about it going in, and it's so much more exciting and so much more fun if you know absolutely nothing. So that's how I've decided to go into it, and I am pumped for this book. I don't read a lot of psychological thrillers, but I think this one will just really grab my attention. I'll never want to put it down, and that's something that I love in a book. So Dark Matter by Blake Crouch is going to be my E for Potions. So the book that I've chosen for O for Potions, I actually don't have a physical copy of. It's a book that is longer than 350 pages, and I chose Illuminate by Jay Kristoff and Amy Kaufman, I believe, are the authors of that. If I'm wrong, I'll put a note along here saying what the actual names of the authors are. But I am going to be listening to that one on audiobook. I've heard it's great to listen to on audiobook. They have a full cast, and I think it'll just be a really, really fun one to do that way. I know that it is written in kind of the form of reports and video logs, and it's told from a lot of different perspectives. It's way in the future sci-fi about this group of people whose planet is attacked for some reason. I'm not sure, I'll let you know when I get into it, and they are escaping on these ships and trying to get away from the people who attack them. I've heard that the main characters are really fun and they're easy to get attached to and that you love them, and the writing is amazing, and even though it's in such a different format, that it's just really easy to get into and you can't put it down. And I'm looking forward to doing it in the audiobook format because it gives me something to do if I go for walks or walk to the grocery store or while I'm driving to work. So that is my O for Potions. Yes, for Potions. That is my O for Potions. Next subject that we're moving on to is Ancient Runes, and for A, I need a book that is set in the past, and that one I chose is Stalking Jack the Ripper by Kerri Maniscalco. I know that it is set in the past. It follows a heroine, and she is hunting down Jack the Ripper and trying to solve that mystery. I have heard so many people say that she is just one of the best main characters, that she's a boss, that she's awesome, that they love her, and she's a really, really well-written heroine. So that's one of the things that I am most looking forward to in these books. Plus, I love historical fiction, and I think this, I'm not positive, honestly, I think this might be kind of along the lines of a historical fantasy, but I'm really, really excited about this one as well. I need to stop saying I'm excited about every book. Next for Ancient Runes, E, is going to be a book that's been on my shelf the longest. And I'm not sure if this is 100% the longest, but it's the longest one that I actually wanted to read. It's been on my shelf for probably over 2 years. I think we're going on 3 years that this book has been sitting on my shelf and I have not read it, and that is A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. I know, I have read nothing by Sarah J. Maas. I am deciding to jump on board to read some of her books and to see what all the hype is about, because there are so many people who talk about her books. Sometimes they love them, sometimes they hate them. I would like to see how I feel about her writing before I sway one way or the other on these. Court of Thorns and Roses, I believe, is a retelling of Beauty and the Beast of some kind. That's about all I know about it. I don't know how I don't know anything about these books when I watch so many videos. I think it's because I actually skip a lot of the explanations about them so that I don't get spoilers, but Court of Thorns and Roses is a book that's been on my shelf way too long and I need to knock it out. For my outstanding, Ancient Runes is a book that is translated from another language, and for that I chose A Winter's Promise. It is translated from French. It's about a girl who has the ability to travel through mirrors, and she is betrothed or promised in marriage to someone important from another clan and has to move away and be with him. She comes to learn that she's actually just kind of a pawn in a political game, which, you know, happens a lot when there are these arranged marriages between people in important families and clans. I don't really know exactly where this story is going to go. I'm intrigued by it, and I am very interested to read a book that is translated from French because I don't believe I've ever done that before. Also, the cover is gorgeous, so that is always a plus in my book. I'm a sucker for pretty covers. The last class that I need to complete my newts is Charms. The book that will complete my Charms A grade is a book with magic in it, and for that I chose God's Grave, which is the sequel to Nevernight. I know it's about a girl who's training to be an assassin, and it's an adult fantasy, and I hear it's kind of gory. Other than that, I don't know. People absolutely love it out there on BookTube. I am very interested to get into it. Plus, I think this cover is beautiful, just like the last book. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. The book that completes my Charms E grade is a book that has a cover that charmed you, which I've already explained. I'm a sucker for book covers. Sometimes I buy books just because of the cover and I don't even have any idea what they're about. Probably shouldn't come as any shock to you if you've been watching this video, because I don't know what any of these books are about. But for that is the sequel to A Winter's Promise, which is The Missing of Claire de Lune. I am in love with this cover. I really would not care if I didn't like the book. I would keep it because I think this is one of the most gorgeous covers I have ever seen. Like the train tracks and just the color used, I love it. I love this cover. I don't know what it's about. It's a girl who travels through mirrors. Other than that, I don't care because the cover's so pretty. I'm going to read it anyways, and I'm going to keep it, and it's probably going to be one of my favorite books ever just because the cover is so gorgeous. Judge me, it's fine. And the last book for my newts is a book that I think will leave a mark. This is going to fulfill my charms, outstanding, and it is Eliza and Her Monsters. This book is all over BookTube right now. I don't actually know if I have subscribed to someone who hasn't posted something about this. I probably have, let's be honest, there's people out there who haven't, but so many people absolutely love this book. They say that it is a must read. It really addresses mental health really well. It's about a girl who writes an online comic, and it is extremely popular. Millions of people read it, and this girl has really bad anxiety and a little bit of depression, and it's talking about her struggles dealing with that, dealing with all the pressures of being this really famous popular online comic writer. And she ends up meeting this boy who is the biggest fan fiction writer of her comic, and she knows who he is, but he does not know who she is, and that causes a kind of awkward dynamic between them because they get close and become really good friends. And I think that watching how she deals with this and her struggle is going to be very impactful, and I'm hoping that this honestly does leave a mark, and it will be something that I love as much as everyone out there on BookTube. So this is my very last book for my newts. I don't know if I'm going to read them all in that order. Probably not. I'm probably going to skip around a little bit because I'm an extreme mood reader. If I actually stick with this TBR, I'm going to be very surprised. I'm going to try really hard because it was hard for me to find books that matched every single one of these prompts, but I just like reading what I like to. This is my TBR. I'm going to try to stick with it. I'm going to give a wrap up when I'm done with all of my newts, and I'm probably going to be talking about how it's going along the way in my vlogs. This is a lot of books, guys. I'm feeling a little overwhelmed, but also this is one of the most fun readathons I've been doing so far. So I'm pumped. I'm pumped to get through them all. I know that I can do it, and I have some really awesome books on this list. It's probably a really long video because that's a lot of books. It's 15. I don't think I've ever had a TBR that long. Thank you all for watching. If you like this video and you want to keep seeing some more of it, please subscribe down below and click the little bell so you'll learn when I post new videos. Also, if you would like to give it a thumbs up, leave the comments down below what of these books you have read and which ones you are most excited to read if you haven't read any of these books. Also, if you are participating in the Newts and the Owls, like always, please let me know so I have people that I can do this with and we can talk about it, chat about it, and do it together. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!